Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report, and finally, after too many delays, the Inhumans are taking to the table in this 20-point match up against the Defenders. So new table setup, new affiliation, which we'll go over in more detail as we look at the teams, hopefully getting a good first showing, and there's also 2 Infinity Stones in play today as well. So yeah, let's go into the details and get started. So here is the 20 threat of Inhumans being led by Black Bolt, who gets much more dangerous and serious on his flipped over side. Then we have his wife Medusa at the back there, who on paper certainly seems like she's a powerhouse. We have Crystal, who is Medusa's sister, and she controls all the elements. We have the teleporting doggo Lockjaw, who is a support character with some interesting capabilities. And then we also have Ronan, and Ronan is bringing the power gem, so he'll be generating 3 power. And apparently he was betrothed to Crystal at some point. He's in the roster, he can be taken as part of the Inhuman affiliation, along with Beast, I think is the other one besides these starting 4. So yep, we'll see how they do. Black Bolt, I feel like Black Bolt would be better if you always bring the All You've Got card, I think. The one that forces you to daze if you do it while you're healthy, just because otherwise you could just ignore him to stop him getting his exceptionally dangerous attack on his flipped over side when he whispers. But because they're new, we're not try-harding here. This is just all the new cards that are specific to Inhumans. Elemental Infusion, Last Minute Save, Attilan Rising, Terragenesis, and Inhuman Royal Family. But as I say, I think specifically for Black Bolt, that All You've Got card is probably a must. And here is the 20 threat of Defenders being led by Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is bringing the Infinity Stone of Time, which is the first time it's been seen on the channel, so he's going to generate an extra power just for having an Infinity Gem. He can spend 2 during his turn to get a 3rd action, so it's potentially pretty powerful. It counts as 2 power, I believe it was. Just lift this over. Yeah, 2 threat for the purposes of making your team. It costs 2 to use, and you get a 3rd action in your turn, so potentially pretty powerful. Also, by lifting it, I've spoiled some of the objectives that have already been selected. But anyway, he's being joined by Valkyrie, by Hawkeye, by Wong, and Ghost Rider to try and make him work, because Ghost Rider, he's not so great in my opinion, but hey, stand to be proven wrong. Their tactics cards: Deal with the Devil, Vapors of Valtor, 7 Sons of Cinnabus, Medpack, and Advanced R&D. So here are the 2 missions being played today. The Secure is the point value being played, 20, and it is the new one that came in the Inhuman box. Terrigen Clouds sweep over the city, so there's 2 of the mist clouds, targets of opportunity, which is like both table edges away from deployment zones. Players score 2 victory points for each cloud, so potential for an offer. They're securing during the cleanup phase, but also during the cleanup phase they move, starting with the player with priority. Any that are controlled by the opponent are moved within 2 of their current position, and then anyone within 1 of where it ends up suffers 1 damage and gains poison. And poison is the you lose power in the power phase. Then also a nice one that'll probably make this like a high damage match overall. Fear grips the world as cards fall over as worthy terrorized citizens. So there's the 4 celestial hammers, 1 victory point for each hammer. It makes tactic cards cost more, but makes you add 1 to attacks. So we can take a look at the board. The 4 hammers, there's 1 on each deployment side, and then there's 1 on top of each Terrigen Cloud as well. But the Terrigen Clouds will move and the hammers will get picked up obviously, but they are meant to be on top of each other. They're just slightly put to the side so you can see that they're both there. So we'll see who's deploying on which side of the table and be back at deployment. Alright, both teams are deployed. The Inhumans are on your left and will be taking the first activation in Battle Round 1. The Defenders are on your right. We can take a quick look at the lineup here. So we have Crystal right here, we have Black Bolt, we have Lockjaw, we have Ronan, and we have Medusa kind of under the monorail track there. Then over this side of the table we have Hawkeye right down at the edge of the table, Valkyrie, Ghost Rider, and then we have Doctor Strange and of course his faithful manservant Wong up there as well. So with that, let's get things started. Crystal got the game started, and she and Black Bolt can both fly, so there's no problem for jumping over scenery. She double medium moved, and she got next to this Terrigen Cloud, paid her 1 power, and picked up the hammer. Now it is worth noting, all Inhumans innately have the immunity to poison rule, so them ending up near the clouds at the end of a battle round is not a bad thing, because it does nothing to them, because they've already been Terrigenesis or however it is you would past tense that. So they don't have as much to suffer from this mission, hence it coming with them, I guess. But anyway, over to the Defenders' first activation. Doctor Strange was first up for the Defenders, and not planned or anything, but as it turns out, every single Defender on the table is medium move. So he copied Crystal, he double medium moved over to the Terrigenesis Cloud there. He snatched up the hammer that was there as well with one of his 2 power, because he had an extra one for the Time Stone. Didn't use the Time Stone because there's no need, but has secured that one over there. Ronan activated and moved up just once, paid one of his many power that he starts with because of the Power Stone to pick up the hammer there, so he is now also holding a hammer. Now he didn't do another move because of a little bit of a mistake. Lockjaw has an ability where if he begins his turn within 2 of any allied character he gets a bonus power. I thought it was 3, so Black Bolt and Ronan were actually a bit too far away from him. It's when he starts his activation, so as long as Ronan is there he can still get the power bonus, and then Lockjaw can also teleport him. But yeah, that was a little bit of a boo-boo on the deployment ranges. Hawkeye activated next for Defenders. He moved up once, medium move, and then he opted to shoot at Crystal. And Hawkeye has no right being this good. He is just a normal dude. He is a normal human with a bow and arrow, and yet he still does things like roll a ridiculous number of crits and do 5 damage to insta-daze a new character on the table, making them seem less good than they potentially could be. So yeah, Crystal just got insta-dazed by Hawkeye. She has 3/3 defense against either physical or energy. She also gets 1 free reroll from being an Inhuman, which is just the Inhuman trait. You can reroll 1 die in an attack or a defense roll. But she had 1 block. Like, he actually did 6 damage. She blocked 1. So yeah, instantly dazed. She dropped her hammer. It's been placed there. Valkyrie may be able to swoop that up and also claim that. As per usual, Hawkeye performs above expectations and ruins another new model's first showing. Sorry, as an addendum, Hawkeye can even be more annoying than he just was, because he generated 5 power. Obviously Crystal did too, but he generated 5 power from the damage he dealt. He spent 3 of it, plus 1 to pick up the hammer for a total of 4. He hook arrowed over to the Terrigen Cloud, picked up the hammer, so it doesn't even matter if Valkyrie decides not to come over here, because Hawkeye is apparently God. So perhaps infuriated by that turn of events, the Inhumans activated Lockjaw next, and his Who's a Good Boy, can't say that without doing that inflection, kicked in because of Ronan being within 2 of him, so that gave him 3 extra power to play with. He then made use of the Inhumans affiliation bonus, which we can cover real quick here because I forgot to mention it when we were going over the teams. So Black Bolt's affiliation is called King of the Inhumans. A Inhuman character may spend 1 power, and then they give that 1 power to another allied character within 3. He did so to give 1 power to Black Bolt. Remember, Black Bolt was like hereish. He then spent 2 on teleport. You pick a character within 3 and put them within 3 of their position. So he teleported Black Bolt all the way up there, and again Black Bolt still has an activation. So I think he can already reach Hawkeye from where he is. He might want to move in first to the Terrigen Cloud, but either way, he wants blood. Bit of a hard angle to get at, but Wong activated next, and he just double medium moved as well to get next to Doctor Strange over there by that Terrigen Cloud. More importantly, to help secure it so that if Medusa just charges up, it will no longer be a draw unless she somehow is able to knock him away with a non-action. But for now, it looks like it'll be 2 versus 1, so they'll score that one. So now it is over to Medusa or Black Bolt. Black Bolt was up, and he decided to show what it means to be an Inhuman. So he was roughly back there, which was within 3, so Hawkeye couldn't do parting shot or anything like that. And he could do his basic attack, which is a 5 dice energy, range 4, with Pierce on Wilds. He did that on Hawkeye. He got 3 damage through of the 4 Hawkeye required to go down, and that also gave him enough power to then do his Master Punch. And that's important, because just doing that attack, you're allowed to be placed within 1 of your target, because he's flying in with a super punch, like Superman style. So he did that. It's a 7 dice physical for 4 power, or 3 power, whichever. And he didn't do as well with that roll, honestly. Well, thankfully, Hawkeye messed up his defense roll, took 2, only needed to take 1. Hawkeye is dazed. He had 1 power left over, so he has picked up the hammer that has been reacquired because Crystal had it originally, and is also holding that Terrigen Cloud, although Valkyrie can still get over here. But vengeance is his. He's used all his power, but he's holding a hammer, and he's holding an objective. Oh, on that subject actually, as a drill goes off in the background typically, totally did not realise that the Terrigenesis tactics card specified civilian. When making the team, I thought it said holding, like any objective you hold, i.e. a hammer, whatever else, a spider infected, it specifies civilian, so for this particular match, it's actually utterly pointless. You cannot use it. That was just a misread, unfortunately. So it seems like that drilling you might be able to hear in the background might be going on all day, so it's not something that can be weighed through, so I apologise if it detracts from the video slightly. It's just going to be there. Hopefully the background music is drowning it out a little bit. Ghost Rider activated. He moved medium to on the far side of the hammer he started in front of, paid his 1 power to pick it up, and then medium moved again towards this side of the table, because as it turns out, Hawkeye's going to need a little bit of help. Medusa activated. She moved up medium once, and then knowing that she can't outnumber the number of people on the Terrigen Cloud on this side, she did a range 3 Braid Bash, which is her basic 0 cost physical. Range 3 5 physical dice, has a chance on a flurry, on a wild, and if it deals damage you can also push small characters. Sadly she whiffed the attack roll pretty badly against Wong, who only gets 2 physical defense dice, and that's with the Inhuman reroll. So Wong utterly defended the damage, so she couldn't throw him, or push him rather, not a throw, it's a push. Couldn't push him, didn't get the flurry either, so no damage, and that is the Inhuman's first turn over. It's over to Valkyrie to end the battle round proper. So the focus of Valkyrie's activation was pure point denial, double medium move to the Terrigen Cloud here, meaning that it's a draw for healthy characters. 2 days don't count, so 1 and 1, so no one is claiming this cloud. And with that we're going into the cleanup phase. So the Terrigen Clouds are going to move, but that is after scoring. So surprisingly violent battle round 1, which is not the norm for Crisis Protocol. Usually it's just snatching up objectives and such. But as things stand, the defenders have 2 of the Celestial Hammers for 1 victory point each, and they hold the Terrigen Cloud. That has been moved ever so slightly, not much because Doctor Strange had to get caught. So it just moved ever so slightly, still within 1 of him and Wong, so he and Wong have taken 1 damage and are poisoned, so they lose 1 power in the power phase now. And down here, this one is neutral, so presumably it does not move, but the card is not particularly clear on that, so presumably it doesn't move and then the damage still happens. So Black Bolt was taking 1 damage, Valkyrie is taking 1 damage and is poisoned, Black Bolt's immune to poison so he doesn't get it, and those 2 are dazed, so presumably nothing happens there. The Inhumans have 2 of the Celestial Hammers but did not score anything else. They are getting first activation again though as we go into battle round 2. So battle round 2 got started with Crystal activating first, sitting on a lot of power obviously from her getting hurt last turn, and as you might be able to tell by the number of icons on the table, she had a pretty effective turn. It started though with the Elemental Infusion Tactics card. You have to play it as Crystal. She spends 2 to play it until she's dazed or until the end of the round, whichever happens first, or I guess it would be KO'd in this case because she's already dazed. Oh, actually maybe that means it doesn't work because she is already dazed. Huh, I'm actually not sure. Would it still be playable? It might not be playable. Well, either way, it didn't come into effect for what happened, but I'll finish reading it anyway. So until she's dazed or until the end of the round, when an enemy character that's within 3 of Crystal suffers damage from an allied effect, so she can't do it, she can give them either Incinerate, Stun, or Slow. But as I say, because she's already dazed, I'm actually not sure if that is playable. Either way. So she fired her Volcanic Eruption, I think it's called, which is a beam, and it caught Hawkeye and Valkyrie. She was wanting to kill Hawkeye. He only took 1 damage and was incinerated by it. She rolled nothing but crits against Valkyrie and ended up doing 5 damage, which plus what happened, sorry no, it was 6 damage. She only got hit by 1 attack. 6 damage, so the poison she got at the end of the turn doesn't matter because she just got insta-dazed, which is very unlikely, but she had nothing but crits plus the reroll on the crits as well. So anyway, then she wanted to take out Hawkeye still, so she did her Hydrokinesis, which did 2 damage. He has 5 on his wounded side, so that wasn't enough. She spent 4 power on Elemental Onslaught, where she gets a free attack, even if she's already used both her actions, which she had. As long as she does an elemental attack, she hasn't done this turn. So she did the air one, which is physical, and Hawkeye has okay physical defense, it's just energy defense that he's bad with. But the attack roll was horrible, and he fully blocked it. So he's alive on 2 health, but Valkyrie did get insta-dazed, so not too shabby of a turn for Crystal there, getting some vengeance. So Hawkeye activated, sensing his death might be soon, and started by playing Medkit on himself, so that's 2 to heal 3 damage, simply put, which he had more than enough power to do. He then shot just 2 full quiver arrow loads right into Crystal to try and murder her, because apparently he's got a vindictive streak as well. First attempt did absolutely nothing. Second attempt did 1 whole damage, so not nearly as effective as turn 1 for him. He then spent 3 power to hook arrow, didn't go the full 3, he just backed off a little bit to try and force Black Bolt to leave the Terrigen Cloud if he wants to try and finish him off, because obviously Valkyrie isn't getting a turn, so it's just Ghost Rider there that could make any difference. Lockjaw was next up for the Inhumans, and because he started within 2 of Ronan, his Who's a Good Boy kicked in, so he generated 3 power automatically, 2 of which he immediately spent as an action to teleport Ronan within 3 of his current position, moving him right up into threatening range against Ghost Rider. Then for his other actual action, he just moved small, working his way over here, banking enough power that if anything should befall any of the people over there, he might be able to save them. Ghost Rider activated and had a very interesting turn. He did his basic energy attack on Crystal, who was over here, and as you can see, he did really well with it. He did 6 damage, which was more than enough to kill her. However, last minute save was used. When another allied character within 3 of an allied Lockjaw would be KO'd, he can spend 3 to play this card. The allied character removes 1 damage, is not KO'd, and is placed within 1 of Lockjaw. So, if we look over here, Crystal is within 1 of Lockjaw behind here. Now, for his second action, Ghost Rider was going to use Penance Stare on Ronan, because he's sitting on so much power, he would have got the full 5 bonus dice, plus 1 more because he's got a hammer. But because they were all nicely lined up, he did Flames of Hell instead, which is a 3 beam straight in the middle, which hits all of them. In hindsight, he didn't do enough damage, he probably should have just done Penance Stare. But he did do 2 damage to Crystal, which is enough that she is gone from the table. So she is totally gone. Ronan only took 1 damage from the Flames of Hell, but is incinerated. Lockjaw actually fully avoided it because the attack roll was so bad, and that was with the extra dice from the hammer again that Ghost Rider's holding. Would have been interesting to see how it would have played out if he did Penance Stare instead on Ronan, but Crystal is gone. That means there's no card problems with that one that might not have been playable, and the Inhumans have suffered their first casualty. So it was time for some Kree justice and accusations and such to be thrown out by Ronan, who in the end did not move at all. He is holding a Celestial Hammer as well, so it's worth pointing out there was 1 extra dice thrown in to his attack. But he started with Kree Justice, which is his big one for 4. He hit Ghost Rider for 3 damage, and it also staggers and stuns. Ghost Rider's tanky though, he has 7 health, so then he just did his basic strike, which is physical, had the extra die thrown in as well. He did 2 damage with that, with a wild, so he also gets a throw for size 4 or less characters. So he chucked Ghost Rider into the truck there for 1 additional damage, so that's 6 all said and done. Ghost Rider is alive on 1 HP. Wong activated and stayed where he was. He meditated for 1 action to give himself 1 power. For his other action he spent 1 to heal himself for 1, and then for his other, for just a superpower for Faithful Assistant, he spent the other 2 power he had, so now he's completely tapped, to give 1 power to Doctor Strange to prep the good doctor for taking on Medusa. The Queen of the Inhumans lived up to her title. She moved for her first action next to the Terrigenesis Cloud, then she did a Braid Bash on Wong. It did a massive 5 damage, dazing him, although he's already had his turn obviously, but he is dazed and flipping his card. Got a wild on it, so she was able to do a free one, which she did on Doctor Strange for 2 damage. She then spent 3 power on Hair Flip, I think it's called, where she selects an enemy character and throws it small. She flung Doctor Strange into the staircase over there for an extra 1 damage, and also now if he wanted to counter her holding this, he's going to have to waste an activation moving. So all in all, pretty good, and it is over to Doctor Strange to end off the turn for the defenders. So Doctor Strange activated the Time Stone for 2 power, and then also spent 3 on Oshter's Refuge, which is spend 3 to heal 3. So he has healed 3 damage. So the Time Stone does give him an extra activation, so he used that to move next to the Terrigenesis Cloud. Then he just did 2 of his basic Bolts of Bedevilment, range 4, 5 physical, and can also push if they deal damage. And he has pushed Medusa back with the first one. Each one did not do good damage. They did 1 damage each. So he only did 2 damage to her, but he did push her away from the point. And given that only Black Bolt has to go still, that does mean that they're going to hold that cloud again. And, well, they're going to take damage off of it as well. But they are holding it. So anyway, let's go see what Black Bolt does. So Black Bolt saw off Battle Round 2 with another very bloody turn. He did not move. He did an Energy Bolt on Ghost Rider. It did 1 damage, which was exactly enough to daze him. So Ghost Rider will be flipping his card. He then did another energy bolt on Hawkeye. It did 3 damage and has killed him, although before he did that, Hawkeye did use Quick Draw, which I think I called Parrying Shot earlier. I meant Quick Draw or Fast Draw, whatever it's called. He spends 2 and he gets to fire first. He did, Black Bolt blocked it, didn't take any damage from it, so he finally got revenge for Crystal with 1 daze and 1 removal. And with that, we're going into the cleanup. So at the end of Battle Round 2, I also forgot to mention that Black Bolt spent 1 power to pick up the hammer that Ghost Rider had been carrying, and is now holding 2 of them. So on that note, let's cover the Inhumans. 2 on Black Bolt. Ronan is still holding 1 for a total of 3, and they hold this portal for 2. So they gained 5 victory points in that turn, making back the spread, because the defenders only have 1 hammer on Doctor Strange, and they have the 1 Terrigenesis Cloud over there for 2, meaning that as we go into Battle Round 3, it will be the defenders going first, but both teams are even on 7 points. Oh, also these portals do need to be moved. The one over there is not going to be moved because it's going to catch Doctor Strange and Wong for, well, Wong's days, so just Doctor Strange for 1 damage. This one over here, I don't think, actually no, it could totally be placed so that Black Bolt and Lockjaw both take 1 damage. They won't be poisoned, but yeah, it'll be moved over there. So finally, taking advantage of taking first activation in a turn, the defenders went with Ghost Rider, and he did really well. He did Pen and Stare on Ronan, rolling 10 dice in total, I think it was, and did an amazing 8 damage to him. More than enough to stun him. He was over here, daze him, sorry. He was over here, but when he gets dazed, he gets to make a free move and attack. He did so, and Ghost Rider took 2 damage. But Pen and Stare, remember, also stops him gaining power, and also saps power, so it took everything the power gem had given him. So that was pretty nasty. Ghost Rider then stayed still, paid 1 to pick up the hammer that Ronan had been carrying. He did a second Pen and Stare on Black Bolt, who has terrible Mystic Defense for whatever reason. It did 4 damage, it only needed to do 3, so it dazed him as well. However, Ghost Rider only had 1 power left, so he only picked up 1 of the hammers that Black Bolt dropped. The other one has been placed there. But that is quite the swing. So now that Ronan and Black Bolt aren't getting a turn, it's just Lockjaw and Medusa left, and there is no one within distance to give Lockjaw his head pats, which is probably some kind of war crime. So he activated, he clambered up over the truck, which put him within 1 thanks to his larger base, to spend 1 to pick up the hammer that Black Bolt dropped, and then he immediately moved back to try and control the Terrigenesis Cloud there, although obviously Valkyrie can counter it so that it's kind of neutral, which is not good, but there is a dog running around with a Celestial Hammer in its mouth now. So this was Valkyrie's turn to shine, sitting on 10 power. She did a Warrior of Legend Charge Dragon Fang, which was 7 power, to move her and attack with her best attack that could also flurry, and with it, she did, to the best doggo, 1 damage. Yes, the roll was that bad. He only has 3 or 2 defense, either way. 1, so then she just did a basic attack for her other action, and it also did 1 damage. So Lockjaw is not in any danger, but she is now contesting that objective. Actually, no, she's not. She's on her wounded side, isn't she? So Lockjaw is still holding that one. So there is that, but it's over to Medusa to end the turn already for the Inhumans. So a simple enough turn for Medusa. She did a Braid Bash on Wong, and it did 2 damage. She got the Flurry, and then the Flurry did nothing, so she had to use her other action to do another Braid Bash, and it did 5 damage, much more than is required for Wong to be removed. Doctor Strange chose for Wong to take 1 for the team there so he could hoard his power to himself rather than trying to help him out with Horace Hoary Wisdom. And then, as a superpower, she spent 3 for a hair flip to flip Doctor Strange into the staircase again, so he took 1 damage. Neither of them are claiming that cloud over there now, and it is over to Doctor Strange, I think, to end the turn. Doctor Strange opted not to use the Time Stone, so he just had 2 activations. He used Oshter's Refuge to heal himself for 3 health for the cost of 3. Then he moved back in to claim that Terrigenesis Cloud and did nothing else. So that does take us to the cleanup of Battle Round 3 in what has been an exceptionally bloody match. So the good boy that is Lockjaw managed to hold on to 1 hammer, 1 single hammer for the Inhumans, but he is also claiming this portal because Valkyrie is wounded. So that was 3 victory points in total gained for them, and they are taking first activation in Battle Round 4. The defenders though, oof. Ghost Rider is holding 2 hammers, and Doctor Strange is holding a hammer, so that's 3 victory points, and Doctor Strange is holding that Terrigenesis, which is also going to hurt him for 1 again, and that gives them another 2. So as we go into Battle Round 5, yeah, 5? No, 4, sorry, 4. It feels like it's been a longer game just because of how much violence there's been. The Defenders are at 12, and the Inhumans are at 10. I don't think it's possible for the Inhumans to win in this next turn, but if things go right for the Defenders, they might. So Black Bolt got the turn started. I don't think he's moved since... Does it even count in turn 1 if he was moved by the dog? I think he did move once. I think he's moved exactly once. He stayed still and fired 2 energy bolts at Ghost Rider to take him out. Oh, sorry, at the start of his turn though, he used Atalon Rising. Any injured Inhuman can just play the card, it's free. All Inhuman characters that are injured gain 1 power for each one that is injured. Ronan is injured, but he's not an Inhuman, so really Black Bolt just gains 1 power for himself, but it's to get him closer to doing a Whisper, because I want to see that happen. So he did an energy bolt, it did 3, and that was not enough, so he did another one, it did 1, and that was exactly enough. The Ghost Rider is dead. He dropped his 2 hammers, he paid 2 power to pick them both up. Now that would be the perfect time for Ghost Rider to consume Wong and drag him down into the fires of hell to be respawned over where they could easily dispatch Medusa, but because he does have enough power to play it. But the only option is either take out Doctor Strange, who's on the southeast side holding a hammer, which is a big no-no, or take out Valkyrie, and she's got enough power that she could potentially do a lot of damage with Dragonfang. So Ghost Rider is accepting his death. He is gone. So Valkyrie did a Dragonfang and this time got a flurry on it as well, although the flurry didn't do anything, so she had to follow up with a basic strike. 1 damage followed by 1 damage. It was enough for her to do the most heinous of crimes. She has stunned poor old Lockjaw, who dropped his hammer. She paid her power to pick it up, so she's holding it. And that does mean if she is able to withstand Ronan's blows during his activation, there is no way to stop the Defenders winning, I think, because she's on that, although he's countering that. Oh, no, he's dazed. Yeah, Ronan would have to move, so he might only have the 1 attack to do it. But if things stay as they are, with the 1 portal being claimed, just 1 of the 2 needs to be claimed, plus the hammers they're holding, they've won. So because he was within 2, Ronan did his basic strike and early whiffed his first attempt, so he had to use his other action to do it again, and this time it was much better. He did 3 damage, and more importantly, he got a wild, which means it can include a small throw, so he chucked her into the side of the monorail thing here for 1 extra damage. Now that's not enough to take her out, so she's holding on to that hammer. But it is enough that she's been moved away from the portal, and I totally forgot that Black Bolt was there, so he's actually now claiming that portal, which means that there's still a game to be had, but she is holding on to the hammer, she's still generating a victory point. It's over to Doctor Strange now to end off the Defenders' turn 4. So thanks to the way the turn order has played out, a horrible realization is befallen. The Defenders' side, Medusa had to get taken out, otherwise they lose. Like, I didn't actually think it was possible that the Inhumans could win this turn. They can, and they have. So Doctor Strange did 2 bolts of bedazzlement, whichever, on Medusa. The first one got through for 3 damage, leaving her on 1 health. The second one whiffed entirely. Well, she blocked the damage that did get through, but it was a terrible roll, meaning that she lived, and she has more than enough power where she can just walk up to this, do her hair flip, and chuck Doctor Strange away so that she's claiming that and he isn't. Alternatively, she could also just walk over here, do a hair flip on Valkyrie, push her into that, and knock her out and make the hammer fall. But in doing things this way, by just moving and like chucking Doctor Strange away, she's claiming 2 points, and that actually does give them the win. So the turn is over, and so is the game. So we're going to quickly talk through how that works out, because again, I thought I did the maths right and the Inhumans couldn't win this turn. Turns out I was totally wrong. But as far as the Defenders, Doctor Strange held on to his hammer the entire game for that's 1 victory point. Valkyrie defiantly held on to the hammer she claimed for 1 victory point, putting them at 14 of the 16 required. But Black Bolt stealing back the 2 hammers from Ghost Rider, that's 2 victory points right there, and then they hold both portals for 4, putting them exactly on the 16 required to win. So amazingly, that was a super close match, and I do like the matches that are close, because if it's a washout for one side or the other, it's kind of boring. Like there was that one match where the Guardians of the Galaxy just got absolutely stomped. It's probably the worst game on the channel, and no fun for anyone involved. It's just, that was a miserable time. When they're down to the, well, not down to the wire, I guess, because it's turn 4, but still, this match started bloody and then continued to just be bloody violence through every turn, including the turn 1 to a certain extent. That's rare, and that's why it ended on 4, because they got stuck into each other, and yeah, that was fun, it was close. Great disappointment that we didn't get to see Black Bolt use Whisper. I think it needs like 6 power, or 5 or 6 power, I think. But, yeah, it would have been nice, but he did the right thing, spending his power to pick up hammers, because in the end, that is what made them win. So that was the first showing for the Inhumans. I don't think Crystal got a fair shake, thanks to the devil known as Hawkeye, but that's okay. Lockjaw is adorable, and you'd think he could be ignored because he's just got one basic bite, but his ability to teleport people around, range 3, means that he's actually a little annoying if you don't ignore him, I think. So yeah, that's interesting. We will most likely see the Inhumans again. Probably this, well, the list might need change depending on point values being played, but some variation of this exact list next time against some other setup as well, just to give the Inhumans some more screen time. They're fun so far, I like them, they seem pretty powerful, but not too powerful, and I think that's important too. Shame the Time Stone didn't get to do more. Power Stone, it did do some stuff, but all its power got stolen by penance stairs from Ghost Rider, so what can you do? Interesting. Anyway, that was a fun one. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Please do show your support, and we'll see you next time. Ta for now.